afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Spring 2024 Virtual Fabric Show. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Stephanie Sheridan, and I will be your host today. A few things before we get started with our panelist presentations. First off, these collections that you're seeing today are from our winter and our spring release. So they are just brand new, and some of these collections is the first time that we've shown them. But please keep in mind that these fabrics won't be available in stores for you to purchase until later this year, which with each collection will let you know when you can expect to see them in your local quilt shop. Also, during the presentations, if you have any questions for the panelists or for us here at Benartex, please use the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen to put your questions, and feel free to use the chat box to say hello, tell us where you're from, and let us know what you think of the fabrics as you see them. A reminder to visit our website, which is benartex.com, to see all of these fabrics and more. And also, when you find something that you absolutely fall in love with, and I'm sure you will, please ask for it at your local quilt shop. They can order through their sales rep, online, or through a distributor. If your local quilt shop needs help ordering fabrics from us, they can email us at info@benartex.com, and our customer service team would be happy to help them. So with all that said, it's time to begin the show. We're going to start this session with designer Ann Lauer of Grizzly Gulch Gallery. Ann's signature style takes flight in her On Dragonfly Wings collection. With a beautiful color palette and the pearlescent accents, these fabrics are simply stunning. First, we're going to show a short video of the fabrics, and then first, Anne's going to say hello, and then we'll show a quick video clip of the fabrics, and then Anne can tell us more about them. Hi, Anne, how are you today?
Great, thanks. I'm excited about this opportunity. I'll make a comment about the name of my company, Grizzly Gulch Gallery. In Montana, the gulches are the ravines between the mountain ranges, so we live in Grizzly Gulch. So,
all right, so let's take a look at your fabrics.
wow. How the heck did you get dragonflies flying across the top of the fabric? It gave me goosebumps.
Our graphics team is pretty exceptional. They've done a really fantastic job with all of the collection videos this time.
Oh my gosh, really creative. So, you ready for me to take off?
I am. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm really excited about showing this collection because we have combined digital printing and pearlescent accents, which is a first for Benartex. As I've worked with Ruth, the senior director, and the Benartex design team, it has been an amazing process to bring these concepts to reality, including some stress along the way and lots of excitement. And I'll go through, we have this slideshow that'll show patterns and fabrics, and at the end, I have a surprise. So let's get started. Next. So the panel features 6 blocks of the large dragonflies on a beautiful textured background. The wings of these dragonflies are 6 inches across, and intricate detail with pearlescent accents makes those wings absolutely shimmer. The spatter border around the blocks are soft and playful, no hard edges. And the glowing medallions at the top and bottom of the panel are the finishing touches. Now we have an all over medallion fabric that matches that so that you can just cut a strip for each side and then the panel is completely bordered. The stripe alternates with a beaded medallion section that absolutely glows with a 3D effect, and narrow sections radiate prismatic color inspired by the wings and the intricate texture. There are 8 repeats of the medallions and 9 repeats of the texture. So you can border a quilt using the medallions framed with the texture on both sides with just one length of fabric. Next. So here we've got the close-up of the blocks that really shows that lacy background that they're flying on, and also the details in that wings that we've discussed. So the blocks are 10 inches using the entire block, or you can cut it to 9 inches if you don't want to use the border part. Next. So these are the small dragonflies. They're 3 inches across and have all the detail found in the large dragonflies. They float over the rainbow color background and medallions. They're great for borders, backings, and blocks. The 3Bs. Next. Large dragonflies. These are 4 to 5 inches across the wings. They have transparent and luminous quality due to that pearlescent. Those wings, as you walk by and take a look at it, they absolutely shimmer. The soft rippling waves background has lots of detail too, and just the right amount of movement. Next. Here are the beaded medallions. I've been talking about how much they glow in the 3D effect, and this time they're printed. We have them printed on 3 jewel tone colors backgrounds, blue, purple, and green. There's also a multi. The blue, purple, and green have a playful, soft pearlescence in the background. Next. So this Cirrus tonal, this is really an amazingly different fabric. We have 3 values of these colors, and this is the darkest value. Intricate textures inspired, the design of that print is inspired by the dragonfly wings. We have it in purple, blue, and turquoise, and also charcoal, as you see. But the pearlescent is totally different in this. It's almost like little shards. So you're getting bigger pieces kind of that pearlescent. And as the light moves or as the fabric moves, it reflects it differently. So you're seeing more than just one pearlescent color. You get a variety of it, which is absolutely incredible. Next. So the spatter texture is the mid value, again, in those 3 colors, and also on blue, navy, and white. It's fun and playful, has just the right amount of movement without being busy. And the spatter is, the pearlescent is actually in spatter. So there's little flecks of it like there's spatters of the other color, and then the pearlescent is tossed in with that, which is pretty cool. Next. So rippling waves are the lightest value. Again, it's fun and playful without being, it's got movement, but not too much. And it's got also a lot of detail in that and more pearlescent. Next. So here's the grand finale of the fabrics, 108 wide. Wow. So it's got that lacy kind of cirrus texture in the rainbow colors, and it's just going to be spectacular for backings and lots of different things. But 108 wide of this particular fabric is quite exciting. Next. So now we start with patterns. This is the free pattern, Year of the Butterfly, Year of the Dragonfly. It's the Chinese Year of the Dragon. So we thought, well, that's fitting. We'll be Year of the Dragonfly. It is around the panel is in the center, surrounded by the narrow strips of the texture stripe. The medallion part of the stripe is in the 3rd border. And then the outer border is that small dragonfly. So you can see how nicely that works. Those 3-inch wide wings work so nicely in a border. The piecing is simple. The dragonflies are cut from the large dragonfly all over pattern, and you then fuse them onto the spatter white fabric and then edge stitch for a fused applique. Next. easy does it. So this showcases the panel. And this fabric, the pattern has some strip borders and some pieced borders. The piano key border has coloring that kind of resembles an ombre effect. The triangular border is created using the half rectangular ruler. I don't use many specialty rulers, but this one has so many different looks. We have lots of patterns that use that with a totally different look than in this border. It's one of the less expensive rulers for specialty rulers. And there are many brands available. The blunt tip and the notch helps you line up those triangles so the block is perfect. If you are a shop, this is a great demo. Next. You've been framed. Now this uses the entire panel. So you've got the medallions at the top and the bottom, and then cut 2 strips from the overall medallion, and then you've got the whole panel framed. There are the stripe border again has the medallions I've been talking about and the 2 textures on each side. And this whole thing glows because the texture also has some pearlescent in that. The checkerboard border in the outside, the coloring of it resembles the coloring in the on point border. So that gives that whole quilt kind of a balanced and delightful look. Next, chain reaction. Now, this is an unusual and fun quilt. It's all strip sets and chains, so go for it. The chain blocks are fun and easy. They're just 9 patches with 2 sets of cornerstones. Small dragonflies and large dragonflies are used in the large blocks. And the delightful quilt of overlapping chain designs is light and airy. Next. Starring roll. Here we have stars within stars and blocks cut from the panel to make this striking quilt. Lots of diagrams and straightforward piecing make this quilt a treat to put together. Once again, we've used the stripe in the outer border for a beautiful effect. And this quilt also shows off the unusual tonal textures in the collection. Next. Now here's our contact information and the links to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And I'll leave this information up for you while I share a few thoughts that Ruth uses to describe this incredible collection. On Dragonfly Wings reflects our most incredible journey yet in the digital world. In order to capture the transparency and luminous quality inspired by the dragonfly's wings, we have introduced pearlescent pigment to this digitally printed collection. Pearlescent accents are subtle enough to carry the inspiration for the collection without taking away from the mystique. Like all reflections, when light hits the surface at the right time, rainbow effects are achieved. Here we have rainbow color effects within the backgrounds and the beaded medallion motifs. A sense of wonder and mystery are captured on cloth, created to explore the effects of nature and enchantment, as a first for Benartex using this innovative process. Wow. Okay, next. So this is the end of the slideshow. So here's my surprise. We got fabric, fabric late yesterday afternoon. I was told don't count on having 1 thread. And a box showed up. We were just excited and floored. So here I will show some fabrics. I thought we were going to have lots of natural light. However, it's springtime in Montana, so it's snowing. Therefore we have lots of inside light. But anyway, I want to go through. We've got some of the fabrics here and show you what they actually look like in person. So here's the panel. So you can see that glowing medallions at the top and the boxes with the spatter around them and all that detail in the dragonfly wings. The medallion. So 3D medallion look and the texture with more pearlescent in it and in the stripes along with it and all that lacy rainbow coloring. And look at all the repeats. It's just absolutely striking. And so behind me is small dragonflies all over. And here's a close-up of it. So here it is on that rainbow effect background, floating over medallions. The dragonflies are floating over the medallions and that background. It's a really nice size. That 3-inch just works in lots of blocks and in borders. And here's the cirrus tonal I was talking about with those shards. So I don't know if you can, if it'll show up with this lighting, but you get, you know, kind of a pinky color, kind of a purple color, darker purple. You get a lot of different colors in these shards of pearlescent, which is incredibly unusual. And this is the spatter. Again, the pearlescent is also tossed in with the spatter. So you've got a lot of depth in this, a lot of movement, and it just looks playful to me. And then the last one is the large dragonflies on that ripple. This is on a lavender, it's also on a light gray. So you can see, I don't know if you can skip that, but the shimmering of those wings with that pearlescent in it is just really fun. So I'm thoroughly excited about this collection. I can't wait to get started, but I'll at least wait till the end of this program.
Thanks, Anne. Wow. So the pearlescence really showed up on screen well. I could really see, yeah, it truly looked like it was glowing. So I'm
Great.
excited to see and use these fabrics as well. Excuse me. So, all right.
It was to get the fabric in time.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic that you were able to get fabric. So, so I think that's it for Anne's presentation. So I think we're ready to move on to our next presenter, who is Amanda Murphy. Amanda is going to be sharing new colors of her basics line, Cotton Shot. The soft muted tones and gradation of values takes this collection to a whole new level. First, we have a short video clip, and then Amanda can share the fabrics with you. Hi, Amanda.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So 42 new colors, correct?
Yes. So 42 new colors, and not usually my colors, right?
No, absolutely not. But they are absolutely gorgeous. Why don't you tell everybody all about them?
Okay. So are you doing the share screen, or am I doing the share screen?
You can do the share screen.
Okay. Let me go and do this. And let me go over here and push. Okay. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like, are you seeing it in full screen now?
Full screen. It looks perfect.
Okay. So we started off the beginning of this year by sort of filling in the Cotton Shot palette where I thought there were holes, right? And where we thought there were holes in particular were some of the Christmas, like the holiday Christmas green and a true red, but then also in the blue purple color range. And then you can see that lime green, you can never have enough limes. And I had like a medium one and I had a light one, but I didn't have it in between. And so these colors are already out in stores. They just started shipping a couple months ago, and they basically were filling in the holes. The gingerbread ones were actually for OESD because they do gingerbread houses. So we wanted to give them some more options. So that's where these colors came from. But one of the things David suggested, and he's president of Benartex, was looking at some more muted colors that I don't usually use, I wouldn't say I never use them, but I tend to use pretty bright colors. And this line works so well with embroidery that we decided to add kind of a new palette. And because we had the opportunity to design this from the very beginning, oh, look, there's lines, and there's not lines in the fabric, there's lines in my digital file that I didn't see till now, but we decided to go with 7 basic hues and then give you 6 options for each. So you can kind of play with transparent effects. And even though they are more muted, they're still very deep and rich, you know. There's they still have layer on color on these fabrics. So there's the blues and the purples together. Hey, and they go with yours, except they don't have pearlescent, right? So blue and purples, and these are kind of like a burnt orange and a rosy color, but not nearly as saturated as what I've had to date. And these are blues and greens. I think I'm missing the neutrals here, but you get the feeling of how you have kind of every step. So they don't really compete with the colors we have right now. They do support. What I found is the really dark ones and the really light ones, I can mix with the brighter ones as well. The mediums are more muted when you put them together. So we began by like recoloring some very recent quilts, and Furl was one I did in black and white, and then I did it in really bright colors and vibrancy. So this is it recolored with these more muted cotton shots. Whoops, I went the wrong way. And this is the complementary pattern. I think you showed this in the video. It's basically the same quilt with either a light or a dark background. Just showing kind of the rainbow if you used all of them together, right? This is Fiddlesticks. This is the black and white quilt I did, and I was actually surprised when I did it in the cotton shots that it worked. And I think it works because the muted blues, I layered on top of them the brighter cotton shots. So this is a mixture of the muted cotton shots with the brighter cotton shots. And this is a foundation piece quilt that has 2 blocks in it. Again, the original was black and white, so it just looks totally different here. This was one I played with both a dark and a light border, but because some of the other quilts were dark, I went with a very light border. And it's interesting when you see all of these together, of course, the more muted things look bright, whereas with you, when you saw them back here with the brights, they look muted, right? Because color's all relative. This is kind of one I want to piece myself in my spare time when I finish the things that I owe for Stephanie right now. And then these 2 were recolors of quilts, one of my black and white and color quilts. So Tartan is playing with the idea of a plaid. And instead of, when I've designed this before, or run this before, I had all the color, like all the pinks running one direction and all the aquas running the other direction. But this time I did all the dark was the background. I did all the mediums running in one direction and then lighter prints running the other. So you're playing with transparency. So each block I stuck with one color, and the interlocking patterns are different tones of that color, right? And then for fat quarter fracture, that is a quilt obviously done with fat quarters, where basically you're making strip sets out of fat quarters, and they're opposite each other. So one has 3 darker strips and 4 lighter, and the other's the opposite. And you basically cut them down to squares and make half square triangles out of them. So that was fun to see in the more muted colors. So I really like that one. Fat quarter flow was an interesting quilt I've done in both vibrancy and botanica. And basically it's the perfect quilt for a beginner. And you basically either you have a flow of color across the quilt or of tone across the quilt. So in the black and white version, I basically had the fat quarters stacked from light to dark, and I cut them all into pieces, and I took 1 off the first pile, 2 off the second, 3 off the third, and you piece what's left on top. So in the top, you get a light block, And then as you work down with the blocks, you get darker and darker and darker. And here I played with the cool colors and the warm colors and stacked them kind of in a rainbow. So, you know, and I used all the lights first and all this, and then all the slightly darker and then the slightly darker. So this is a quilt you can make for the weekend. Oddly, I'm usually drawn to cool colors, but I really like the warm one of this for some reason. I think it would look really neat if I could find the perfect variegated thread for it, because you'd see the quilting more on one side than the other of the quilt. And I think that would be interesting. And then this is kind of a preview of what I'm showing that has not been seen to the public yet. I did this quilt, and I'm assuming the video you're playing later has something to do with this quilt called Bloom and Grow for Bernina. And I wrote it in conjunction with the Bernina overlocker expert, Pam Mashi. And it's basically a quilt that's entirely done on the serger with exposed looper threads and things like that. It's like a black and white and aqua color palette, if you've seen it before. And I decided to come out, since that was geared toward quilters who might want to learn serging techniques, to come out with a line of patterns for sergers. So here you can see this is coming out late this summer, this crisscross pillow. And I used those muted tonal ranges of these cotton shots, and basically you piece the whole thing. And then you serge overlocking stitches and chain stitches on top of it from the back sides. You get those looper threads, those specialty threads showing through the front. This is the wonky log cabin runner. And you have the detail in the border, but it's actually put together with flanges also on your serger. Then serge forest, basically you stitch from the back of the trees before they're pieced. You stitch rectangles with detail using the chain stitch on the serger, which again features, when you flip it over, you see those specialty metallic threads, which you can't see in the picture here, but when I have it done, you will see it, to decorate the trees. And then you have those exposed seams when you put the trees together, also with specialty threads. And that's again serged with an overlock stitch. This is the holiday version of this. I have it all cut upstairs, but I haven't done it. And it's placemats and a runner. And then this is my Sky Tower quilt. I saw someone said in the comments before, I want to make a blue and brown quilt. And it's kind of like a rusty color, the colors, it's like slightly orange, but this is probably, I don't think I've done something in this palette before, but I certainly like it. So this is also a serge quilt with exposed flat lock seams and stitch and flip corners. And yeah, so it is also cut upstairs and not pieced. So that gives you an idea for what that is. Now I'm going to stop this share and then go back over to see this. So I can't see the comments until we're not screen sharing anymore. So people are saying they're going to go broke. Well, you're keeping Anna and I and Benartex in business, so it's a good cause, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know we have some questions that have come in, but we'll ask those at the end.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's the presentation for Cotton Shop for the 42 new colors plus the recent colors that we added in.
Fantastic. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I'm here in the office this week, and they actually happen to have some sample yardage here. And guess what's going home in my suitcase? I'm taking some cotton shot home with me because it's absolutely gorgeous and I can't wait to use it.
Excellent.
So at this time, we are going to move on, and we're going to put a quick poll up on the screen. So if everyone wants to take a quick look, and here's a really good question: do you quilt with a serger? Only the people that are watching us on Zoom can answer the poll. So if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to go ahead and put your answer in the comments. But by answering our poll here on Zoom, you're entered for a chance to win a fun fabric prize, and we'll announce that winner at the end. So we'll leave this up for just a moment, and then I'll ask Anne. Anne, have you ever quilted with a serger before?
I have not. I used a Serger years ago for actually kind of when I was barely starting quilting, and then I haven't after I've started the quilting process, but it looks fascinating. What Amanda's done is absolutely intriguing and very, very pretty and unusual.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, when we're done, we'll have to have a sewing day one of these days, right? When we're in the
Yeah.
same state.
Yeah, we should have a designer retreat and then
Yes.
and then we can all sew together. So, all right. Oh, somebody says I'm only willing to try because of Amanda's amazing pattern.
Well, what's interesting is, I mean, we're really piecing with the serger, right? So what's interesting about that is you begin to think of it very differently with the thread. So sometimes you have exposed seams and the thread becomes more of a star than it would be with traditional piecing. So it kind of changes how you design, because you have to think about, how am I going to showcase these threads as an element of this quilt? And then it changes also sometimes how you quilt, because you want to think about, how do I accentuate these techniques, right? And it's not for every quilt, but for certain quilts, it can add like an exciting element that you wouldn't have with a regular sewing machine.
Very cool. So we're going to move on in our program now. Lastly, we've invited our friends at Bernina to introduce the L890. That's correct, right, Amanda?
Yes.
The L890 serger. And there's also an amazing bundle that comes along with it, which includes fabrics from Amanda Murphy. So we're going to go ahead and play the video from Bernina.
We are introducing to you the L890 Quilters Edition. Now, this is a very limited special edition machine that we have, and it comes with a fantastic bundle of items that's worth over $1,800. And as we mentioned, it is a limited edition, so you want to make sure that you go in and check them out as quickly as possible. But with this great machine, you're going to have a bundle of fabrics that is part of Amanda's Botanica collection.
Botanica with a little bit of cotton shot thrown in.
Thrown a little bit of color, a little hint of color that we've added, and that color just really sets apart, which also, not only do you receive those fabrics, but you're also receiving one of Gail's favorite threads, which are the spaghetti and Wonderfill threads.
I love those things. I love that the front of the machine actually gives you some inspiration to get you started. It's right on the front of the machine.
So that quilting pattern that we have here on the front of the machine is enhancing and giving you that plaid look or the quilting look.
Didn't they dye thread specifically for you?
Yes, they did.
And I've already put in my order for that mermaid green.
Yeah. And I love that whole combination of how it just brings together the whole feel of the quilt and the fabrics and the machine itself. It's not just that we've taken a machine and put a Quilters Edition name on it. We have created an entire package for you as a quilter that's going to help you and enhance your quilting experience, from the fabric, from the thread, from the pattern that Amanda had designed and put together.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
And we also have a video series. So this video series will walk you through the entire quilt. Not panel, we mentioned that earlier, but it's blocks.
It's a pieced quilt.
It's a completely pieced quilt, and you will learn many different techniques, different types of stitches and applications as you walk through this series of videos with Mary Beck. Then we also have, but wait, there's more, because there's also a set of feet that you're going to be getting. And through this quilt, through the applications, you are going to use every single one of those feet so that you become experienced with how those feet work in a quilting manner. We also have, again, there's more.
Yes.
There's going to be
Even
fusible thread, even more. There's fusible thread so that when you bind your quilt, you can use the 4-thread overlock for binding and use that fusible thread, which is a fantastic technique. And even if you work with your serger just for finishing the edge and binding your quilt using that fusible thread, a huge time saver in your quilting applications.
I do that before shows.
Yeah.
Before shows. So even if I'm later going to hand bind, you know, I'm always finishing at the last minute because my fabrics come so late.
We all do.
Right? And then I can, so I stitch it to the front with the fusible and the lower looper, like you told me to, and then I can press it with my Laura Star over to the back. And then later, if I want, and when I'm sitting in the hotel room, I can hand bind. You can also do it without doing that step, but if I'm doing like an heirloom quality quilt, usually I like to do
And
that.
you don't have to pack pins with you.
I know, it really holds it.
Yes.
Or have all of that weight of clips
Yes.
all the way around
Yes.
your quilt as well, your binding. And with that fusible thread, it keeps your binding completely flat, which you don't end up with the little dips and the raised areas when you have your binding on. But there's even something else that we have with this bundle, and that's the Big Book of Serger Quilting too. So in that book, we're going to share with you quite a number of blocks and techniques and ways of threading and all the different applications that will just enhance your quilting experience when you're using the L890 Quilters Edition.
I just love the idea that everything has come together, like all of the worlds have been built into one project for everybody to experience. Quilting, serging, decorative threads, decorative stitches, it's fantastic.
So again, that was the L890 machine. If you're interested in finding out more information about it, you'll need to visit your local Bernina shop. And I believe that Bernina.com has a store locator on their website where you can find a Bernina store near you that carries the L890. So thank you so much to Bernina for sending that information in about that amazing machine. So now we're going to move on to our question and answer session. So if you have a question for Anne or Amanda, if you want to go ahead and pop it into the Q&A box now, and I'm going to read some of these and we'll have Anne and Amanda answer them for us. Oh, actually, the first question's for me. Stephanie, the quilt behind you is beautiful. Who is the designer and what is the fabric line for it? I believe you're talking about this one over here. That one I believe is called Forest Light. It is made with the, shoot, I just lost the name. The Ballet Granite Hill? No. Maria, you're gonna have to help me because I can't remember the name of that fabric collection. Anyway, it's on our website. I'll have Maria Elena will put the answer in the chat for everybody. And the information about the pattern can be found on our website as well. And then the next question, I believe, is about Anne's fabric line and the on Dragonfly Wings. Has Anne tried to wash the fabric? Does the pearlescence diminish with washing? And there's also a follow-up, another person asked about color bleeding. So Anne, I'm guessing you have not had a chance to wash any fabric yet.
Yeah, right. Since it arrived yesterday afternoon. No, I haven't. You know, historically, I think there has been very little, I mean, over a long period of time and lots of washing. Sometimes any of those enhancement metallic pearlescent, they may diminish to an extent, but it takes quite a while for that to happen. And we try not to wash quilts very often anyway. And the same thing with color bleeding, you know, I don't have in this collection, there's not like bright reds right next to whites or deep purples and, you know, pale colors. And so it's all pretty, it all just kind of blends together closely. So I don't think there'd be a problem with that. They could always try it on a little piece, but I don't think, you know, and then there's all other kind of things you can wash them with, color stopper and this and that helps from having any bleeding effects, but I wouldn't expect it to be a problem.
Okay. And then another question for you, Anne. What was your inspiration for this line? It is absolutely gorgeous.
I've just always been fascinated with dragonflies, and I think the wings are gorgeous, and we wanted to really focus on all kinds of the detail and make them as realistic as possible, but also our kind of mystique and artistic flair with it. And I think it worked.
I think so too. I think they're absolutely beautiful. Amanda, the cotton shot, is it done with different colors for the warp and weft, or is it a printed fabric? Just
It's a
looking at it, you
printed
can't
fabric.
really
It is.
tell.
Yes, it is. It's the name is the reason it's named cotton shot is because it has the look of shot cotton. Okay, so that's where I took the name from. So shot cotton, the warp and the weft with the fabric weave, they're actually two different colors, which gives it a depth. So when I first did this line, I did it for two reasons. One, I wanted it to have the depth of something that looked like that while still being a quilting cotton, right? And I wanted a design or a fabric that was very suitable for embroidery that would have enough texture, but not take away from the embroidery at all. OESD had asked me a few times for it. And so it was in response to that. Originally, it came out in a specific collection. There were like 3 SKUs of it. And then it eventually worked into a basics line with which Jessica, my Wang, my art director at Benartex, and I developed. So it is supposed to look like that, but no, it's a true quilting cotton.
Okay, and the next question, will there be a quilt kit for fiddlesticks in the new color palette?
I'm not doing a kit, but the dealers will have the information so they could do the kit if they stocked the line.
And then another one, why is there no yellow or orange? There are yellow and oranges in the original colors of cotton shot.
Well, that orange, that brown, the lighter colors of the brown almost look like orange. I don't know if the true colors really show on the screen as accurately as like in the fabric.
Right.
But the lighter browns, they're almost like a rust, that they do read as like a muted orange, right? On the yellow side, there's kind of the very creamy looks a little yellow, but you have to think about like yellow, as yellow gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, it kind of looks brown. So there's a brown, which I guess in the lighter tones kind of looks yellow, but it doesn't darken in the same way as some of the other colors.
Okay. And then Amanda, will any of your fabric be available at the 3-day event, Bernina event in May?
I'm guessing they're talking about quality sewing. I have an event on Mackinac Island and an event at Quality Sewing. I know Quality is ordering a bunch of fabric. I don't know what kits, but I know they will certainly order a bunch of fabric. They wouldn't be from this collection though, because remember, this collection is not available yet. It would be like Vibrancy, Botanica, that type of thing. And Flora and Fauna, I think, is going to debut there as well, which is something that's not officially shipping yet, which I also have to pack patterns for, Stephanie, before I leave. Okay.
Is the L890 in stores now? Available
it
for
is,
purchase now?
but there's a very limited amount left of them that is sold very well. So you want to contact your Bernina dealer soon. And if not, if when that actually does sell out, there will be the regular L890, which they're the same machine, but the L890 comes with the Quilters Edition comes with the special bundle. So yeah. So
okay. When will Anne's fabric line be available? Anne, I believe it's August, September.
That's what I just saw.
Okay. So yes, it will be available in stores in August, September of this year. A question about the serging. Are the quilts bulky when you serge them?
no, because when you, I sometimes was using flat lock stitches. I sometimes was using over stitches. Sometimes I was taking a fabric and embellishing it with chain stitches and cover stitches. So I'm assuming you're referring to when you do an overlock stitch. It wouldn't be bulky because the threads are pretty thin, but they actually compress the layers of fabric more. So I wouldn't consider it bulkier. Now, I did sometimes use specialty threads in the loopers and then expose that on the top side of the quilt. So like joining fabrics wrong sides together. So that would leave more of a ridge because I was using those specialty threads in that way. But it's not like a super bulky quilt. I will say that even before I did this quilt for Bernina, I did always bind my quilt on the serger because it feeds through the fabric so much better when you have thick fabrics than just a regular sewing machine.
Okay, and then Anne, Marianne's asking, would you recommend using a press cloth when you're pressing the Dragonfly fabric with the pearlescence?
I doubt it's necessary.
Okay.
I did press all of these just because they came out of the box. So I pressed them for this and I didn't use a press cloth and they're fine. So I don't think.
Okay. Wonderful. Also, Carlene wants to know if you're going to do any like block of the month type projects with the Dragonfly fabric.
That's a good thought. I haven't considered it yet, but we'll see. Perhaps. Stay tuned.
Good. And then what is the difference between the standard L890 and the Quilters Edition L890?
The bundle comes with the Quilters Edition. Like it's in the cover of the machine is different, right? But essentially it's the same machine. The bundle comes with, I think, a couple extra feet. Don't quote me on that. But, and then it comes with the pattern for the quilt, right? The kit for the quilt and the online class as part of that bundle. So it has a white cover instead of a dark, and then it comes with the bundle.
Okay. Is this digital fabric cotton based or poly? It is all cotton based.
Yep.
And then will Amanda be providing the color charts for her cotton shot patterns versus versions via your blog?
I think I have that, but I don't know if I've posted it yet. I can't remember.
Okay, the charts I know are available on the Benartex website showing which fabrics are used in each of those quilts. So if you go to benartex.com and go to cotton shot, you can see all of Amanda's patterns there, and there is a chart available for you to look at to see which SKUs you would need to buy to make that particular quilt. And then, Amanda, do you find it difficult to quilt with a serger with different types of fabric? Do peony, satin, canvas, etc.?
No, but just to make things clear, I'm piecing with it, right?
Right.
I'm piecing with it. No, because sergers are really good at dealing with just feeding through fabric. But you know, I would say I'm not the serger expert. By far, I'm not the serger expert. Pam Massey and Gail Yellen, who you saw in that video, they are the serging experts. I'm the person who calls them at midnight and is like, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? So I know enough to be dangerous. So and when Bernina filmed it, Mary Beck, one of their educators, filmed the class. So I did write the instructions in conjunction with Pam and I designed the quilt, but I do not consider myself a serging expert. I know the people who to call. I have great tech support. Right?
That's fantastic. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just double checking to see if we had any other questions. Our time is running down. So if you have any last minute questions that we didn't get answered, if you can pop them into the Q&A box now. Are shot cottons and cotton shot fabrics interchangeable?
No. So the reason why I did the cotton shot fabric rather than a true shot cotton is the shot cotton is usually a looser weave, And I was looking for something you could embroider over. Like I really wanted that stability of a quilter's cotton. So from far away, while they might look similar, I was looking for that tight weave of quilting cotton. Will the Serger quilt pattern be available? Can I answer that one, Stephanie?
Sure.
So that is available as a standalone exclusively from Bernina dealers. The whole deal on that was, it was our plan to release that fourth quarter to people who hadn't bought the machine, right? But there was such consumer demand from people who already owned late 90s. Bernina decided to release it earlier, right now, which is great, right? But what that means is because they made that decision, it didn't necessarily mean that we had all that extra yardage and thread and stuff in the country. So I want to bring this up just because there seems to be a run on all the Botanica fabrics right now because of this program and the fact they released it to all these other customers, right? And what I wanted to say, there's way more fabric coming, you guys. It's on the boat. It's all the way almost over here. Same for the thread, which Wonderful is mass producing for us. But because we hadn't anticipated selling this much in first quarter, or we thought it was going to be later in the year, we just have to wait a few more weeks. So if your dealer says, oh, Benartex is out of it, more is coming, and the dealers can order it and cut kits. But I think the latest I heard is that there's another order coming in May. So it's just a few more weeks, but try to be patient with your dealers. You can sew the whole pattern just with the pattern. If you need extra help, you're new to serging, you can buy the online class from the Bernina Skill Hub if you would like as a separate purchase. You don't have to buy the Skill Hub because the information is in the pattern, but it's very helpful if you're not normally doing a serger. And for the person who asked, how do I sew binding on a serger? I have a video on how I do that on my YouTube channel, which is Amanda Murphy Design.
Fantastic. Okay, and I have one last question that we're going to answer. Will there be a replay of these videos, as unfortunately I missed most of this one and all of yesterday's? Yes, Linda, there are videos available. If you're on Facebook, you can go back and rewatch these there. We also will be putting them on our YouTube channel. And if you signed up through Zoom, which you did because you're logged in, you will get an email when the videos are available for you to rewatch. So yes, you can absolutely replay all of these videos whenever you'd like. And with that, I'm going to close out the question and answers. And I want to first off thank everyone for coming to our virtual fabric show. We hope that you've enjoyed seeing all the fabrics and the projects and hearing from our talented fabric designers. Be sure to ask for these fabrics and any other Benartex fabrics that you love at your local quilt shops. And we can't wait to see what you create with all of them. Remember, if you create something amazing with Benartex fabrics and you post it on social media, be sure to tag us and tag the fabric designers as well. They love to see what you create. At this point, I'd like to announce the winner of our giveaway for this session. Congratulations to Janine Mott. We will reach out to you via email to get your mailing address to send you your fabric prize. And I'd also like to thank my panelists that came in today to talk about their fabric collections. Thank you so much, Anne and Amanda, for joining me for Virtual Fabric Show today. I really appreciate it. And then lastly, I'm going to remind everybody to come back in about 30 minutes for our final Virtual Fabric Show session. We'll be starting that at 4:30, and we hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone, and thanks again, Anne and Amanda. Have a great afternoon.